My daughter's boyfriend. Left her in the ER with their sick baby because he couldn't handle being a dad. I kicked him out myself. 3 years later, he came back married and expecting, asking if my daughter could forgive and forget. I was 19 when I gave birth to my daughter. Her name was Mia. She had this tiny tuft of dark hair and these huge brown eyes that never seemed to blink. I remember the nurse saying she looked like she was already trying to understand the world. At the time, I was living out of a friend's spare bedroom and working 2 jobs just to keep from going back to my stepdad's place. He was the kind of man who liked to keep things quiet, and if you stepped out of line, he made sure you regretted it. I never talked much about him, but that silence came from fear, not forgiveness, and it played a part in everything that came after. Component placement, and if you made noise, he made sure you remembered not to do it again. Mia's dad wasn't in the picture. He had ghosted me the second I told him I was pregnant, said he had to go visit his brother in Texas and just never came back. Honestly, I didn't expect him to. The only thing he ever brought to my life was chaos, the kind that shows up drunk at your apartment at 2 a.m. and punches holes in the drywall while crying about his ex. After Mia was born, things got harder. The friend I was staying with told me I had to figure something else out after a couple months because she couldn't afford to have a baby around. I applied for assistance, but it was slow. I kept going back and forth in my head trying to figure out how to make it all work. One night, I caught myself staring at Mia while she slept on a pile of folded towels because I didn't have a crib. She was so peaceful. I remember thinking how unfair it was that she had to start her life this way. That maybe she deserved more than what I could give her. I didn't make the decision overnight. I went back and forth for weeks. But one day, after Mia got a really bad cough and I couldn't afford the medicine her doctor prescribed, I broke down in a CVS parking lot and called a counselor I had talked to once about open adoption. Her name was Claire. She had this soft way of speaking, like nothing could shake her. I told her I wanted to find a family that would give Mia the kind of life I never had. Claire found them, Hannah and Greg, high school sweethearts who had been trying to have a baby for almost a decade. They looked like a toothpaste commercial. Greg had this big dopey smile and Hannah had the kind of eyes that made you want to trust her. I met them once, gave them Mia the next day. I didn't even cry when I handed her over. I waited until I got back to my place and screamed into a towel for an hour. I didn't hear much after that. Claire told me it was a semi-open adoption. They would send letters and updates through the agency. For a while they did. I got pictures on her first and second birthday. Then it all stopped. Claire said they moved and the new agency wasn't responding. Eventually I stopped checking. Life moved on. I got a job that paid decent. I moved cities, started therapy, stopped dating guys who wore backwards baseball caps and had no drama in their bios. But I never stopped thinking about Mia, not even for a day. 15 years later, I was in line at the DMV trying to renew my ID when I got a call. My boyfriend at the time, Marcus, had just walked out on me the night before, took half our stuff, didn't even leave a note. So when I saw a random number pop up, I almost didn't answer, but I did. And I'll never forget the voice on the other end. She said, "Hi, is this? Were you ever named Emily Carter?" My stomach dropped. I hadn't used that name in years. I changed it legally after the adoption. I asked who was calling and the girl said, "I think you're my birth mom. I'm Mia." I swear my knees almost gave out. The lady behind me asked if I needed to sit down. I didn't even answer. I just walked out of the DMV without saying anything. I sat in my car with the phone still pressed to my ear. Mia told me she had found my name on a document in her parents' safe after they passed away in a car accident a year ago. She'd been looking for me ever since. She said she didn't want anything, just to talk, just to know. We met the next day at a diner halfway between our cities. She was taller than me. Same eyes, same laugh. When she hugged me, I almost lost it. We sat there for hours, just talking. She told me about her life, her adoptive parents, her school. She wanted to be a vet. I told her I used to volunteer at a shelter and she lit up like it meant everything. I told her why I gave her up. She didn't say much, just nodded and held my hand. But that night, after we said goodbye, she texted me. One line. She said, "I need to tell you something important, but not over text." It's been 2 days since then. I've called her 3 times and she hasn't picked up. I haven't been able to sleep. I keep thinking about what she needs to tell me. If it's something bad, if it has something to do with her parents, or with me. My mind keeps going places I don't want it to go. Like maybe she's sick, or maybe she found something else in that safe. Something worse. Something I don't remember, or something I never knew. I'm trying to be patient, but the longer she doesn't answer, the more it feels like something big is coming. I still don't know how I feel about it. I tried calling her again this morning, straight to voicemail. I left another message trying to sound casual, but my voice cracked halfway through. I hung up and threw my phone on the couch. Then I picked it back up and checked her social media. Nothing new since 3 days ago. Just a picture of her cat sleeping on her homework. I scrolled through her older posts looking for clues. Pictures with friends, school events, normal teenage stuff, nothing that screamed emergency. I made myself some coffee and sat at my kitchen table. My hands were shaking. I kept replaying our conversation at the diner, trying to remember if she seemed upset about something. But she had been so calm, so mature for 17, more put together than I was at 34. My phone buzzed and I nearly knocked over my coffee grabbing it. Just a spam text about car insurance. I wanted to throw the phone across the room. Instead, I opened our text thread again, read her message for the 100th time. "I need to tell you something important, but not over text." What could be so important that she couldn't text it? And why was she avoiding me now? I called in sick to work. My boss wasn't happy, but I didn't care. I couldn't focus on spreadsheets when my daughter was out there dealing with something alone. My daughter. It still felt weird to think that. For 15 years, she had been this abstract concept, this baby I gave away. Now she was real, and she needed something from me, and I couldn't help because she wouldn't answer her phone. I drove to the grocery store just to get out of the apartment, wandered the aisles without really seeing anything, ended up buying a bunch of junk food I didn't need. The cashier asked if I was having a party. I just nodded and swiped my card. Back home, I tried calling again. This time it rang once before going to voicemail. She was declining my calls. That hurt more than the silence. I texted her asking if she was okay. Just needed to know she was safe. The message showed as delivered but not read. I spent the rest of the day pacing my apartment, cleaned everything twice, organized my closet, anything to keep my hands busy while my mind raced. By evening, I was exhausted but too wired to sleep. I ordered takeout I didn't want, and watched TV shows I wasn't paying attention to. My phone stayed silent on the coffee table. I kept checking it anyway. Around midnight, I gave up pretending to sleep and Googled her adoptive parents' names. Found their obituaries from last year. Car accident on a rainy night. No other vehicles involved. They seemed like good people from what the obituaries said. Active in their community. Loved by many. Survived by their daughter Mia. I wondered who was taking care of her now. She had mentioned living with an aunt but hadn't given details. I found myself searching for more information about them. Their social media pages were still up. Frozen in time, happy family photos, Mia at various ages, birthday parties, vacations, first day of school pictures. They gave her everything I couldn't. The life I wanted her to have. Seeing those photos made my chest tight. She looked happy. Really happy. Not the fake smile kids do for cameras. The real kind that reaches your eyes. Her parents looked at her like she was their whole world, which she probably was after trying for a baby for so long. I closed my laptop and tried calling one more time. Straight to voicemail again. I left another message. Told her I was worried. That whatever it was, we could figure it out together. That I wasn't going anywhere. Then I lay on my couch staring at the ceiling until the sun came up. The next morning my phone finally rang. I grabbed it so fast I almost dropped it. Mia's name on the screen made my heart race. I answered before the second ring. She was crying. Not the loud kind. The quiet kind where you're trying to hold it in but can't. She kept saying she was sorry for not calling back. I told her it was okay, that I was just worried. She asked if we could meet again. Same diner. I said yes before she finished asking. I drove there going 20 over the speed limit the whole way. Got there 40 minutes early and ordered coffee I didn't touch. Just sat there watching the door. Every time it opened, I sat up straighter. When she finally walked in, she looked smaller somehow. Tired. Her eyes were puffy. She slid into the booth across from me and just stared at her hands. I waited. Didn't push. After what felt like forever, she looked up and said she was pregnant. 3 months. The words hit me like a truck. I must have made a face because she started crying again. I reached across the table and grabbed her hands. Told her it was going to be okay, even though I had no idea if that was true. She told me the whole story. The boy was someone from school, Austin. They'd been together 6 months. He was 18, already accepted to college out of state. When she told him about the baby, he said he'd support whatever she decided, but his voice said different. His parents didn't know. Her aunt didn't know. Nobody knew except him, and now me. I asked what she wanted to do. She shook her head and said that's why she called me. She wanted to know what it felt like, giving up a baby. If I regretted it. If I would do it differently. She wanted to know what kind of person I was. If I was someone she could trust to help her figure this out. We sat there for 3 hours. I told her everything. The fear, the doubt, the relief, the guilt. How I still wondered every day if I made the right choice. How seeing her made me think maybe I did, but also made me wish I'd been stronger, braver. She listened without interrupting. Just nodded sometimes or squeezed my hands when I had to stop to breathe. When I finished, she asked if I would have kept her if things were different. I said yes, without hesitation. She asked what different meant. I told her money mostly. Support. Someone who cared. She said she had money from her parents' life insurance. Had their house. Had her aunt. I said then it wasn't the same. She had choices I didn't. She asked if I would help her. Whatever she decided. I said yes. She hugged me across the table and we both cried in that diner while people pretended not to stare. We started meeting every few days. Sometimes at the diner. Sometimes at a park near her house. She would ask questions about being pregnant. About what to expect. I answered what I could remember. Bought her prenatal vitamins. Went with her to her first doctor appointment because she was too scared to go alone. The doctor confirmed everything was normal. Healthy. Asked if the father was involved. Mia said no. The doctor gave us pamphlets about options. Mia shoved them in her purse without looking. In the car after, she said Austin had started ignoring her at school. Wouldn't even look at her in the hallway. His friends were acting weird too. She thought he might have told them. I wanted to find this kid and shake him. Tell him to grow up. But I remembered being 18. Remembered how Mia's birth father ran. How history likes to repeat itself. Instead, I told her she didn't need him. That she was stronger than she knew. She laughed and said I sounded like a motivational poster. Her Aunt Catherine finally noticed something was off. Started asking questions about why Mia was tired all the time, why she wasn't eating breakfast. Mia kept making excuses, but I could tell she was running out of them. I offered to be there when she told her. She said not yet. She wasn't ready. 2 weeks later, Austin's mother showed up at Mia's house. Mia called me crying. Said the woman had been yelling, calling her names, saying she was trying to trap Austin, ruin his future. Catherine had kicked her out, but now she knew. Mia was hiding in her room, too scared to come out. I drove over without thinking twice. Catherine answered the door. She looked exhausted, older than her 45 years. She let me in without asking who I was, like she already knew. We sat at the kitchen table while Mia stayed upstairs. Catherine said she didn't know what to do. She'd raised Mia for a year but never expected this. Never prepared for it. She kept saying Hannah would have known how to handle it. How Hannah was the one who was good at this stuff. I told her nobody really knows how to handle it. That we just do our best. She asked if I was going to try to take Mia away. The question surprised me. I said no. That I just wanted to help. She stared at me for a long time then nodded. Said Mia could use all the help she could get. We went upstairs together. Mia was curled up on her bed holding a stuffed elephant. She looked so young. Catherine sat on one side. I sat on the other. Nobody talked for a while. Then Catherine said whatever Mia decided, she would support. But they needed a plan. Couldn't just pretend it wasn't happening. Mia said she didn't know what she wanted. That some days she thought about keeping it. Being a mom. Doing better than what happened to her. Other days she thought about adoption. Giving some couple the gift her parents got. And sometimes she thought about not having it at all. Each option felt wrong for different reasons. Catherine said they should talk to someone professional. A counselor. Someone who could help walk through the options without judgment. Mia agreed but said she wanted me there too. Catherine looked at me and nodded. We were a team now whether any of us expected it or not. The counselor's name was Robin. They had a small office with too many plants and a white noise machine that sounded like rain. Mia sat between Catherine and me on a couch that had seen better days. Robin asked questions, gentle ones, about how Mia was feeling, what her concerns were, what support she had. Mia opened up more than I expected, talked about feeling scared, angry at Austin, confused about what was right. She said she kept thinking about me at 19, how I managed, how I decided. She wanted to know if the feeling ever went away, the wondering. I told her it didn't, but that you learn to live with it, make peace with it. That whatever choice you make it with the information you have at the time. You do your best. That's all anyone can do. Robin nodded and said that was well put. Mia squeezed my hand. Over the next few weeks, we fell into a routine. Doctor appointments, counseling sessions, quiet dinners at Catherine's house where we all pretended things were normal. Austin kept his distance at school. His mother tried to approach Mia once more, but Catherine threatened to call the police. She backed off after that. Mia started showing, just a little, enough that she wore bigger sweaters to school. Some kids noticed anyway. Rumors started. Mia pretended not to care, but I could see it wearing on her. She talked about switching to online school. Catherine was against it, said Mia shouldn't have to hide, but it wasn't Catherine walking those hallways. One night Mia called me at 2 a.m. She was crying, said she felt the baby move for the first time, just a flutter, like bubbles. It made everything real in a way it wasn't before. She asked if I remembered feeling her move. I did. Every flutter, every kick. I told her it was normal to feel overwhelmed, that it was a big moment. She asked if it made me want to keep her more. I said yes. She said that's what she was afraid of. The next day, she told Robin she was leaning toward adoption, but a different kind than mine. Open, where she could know the baby, watch them grow up, be a part of their life in some way. Robin said that was definitely an option, that many adoptions worked that way now. Mia looked at me and asked what I thought. I said if that's what felt right to her, then it was the right choice. Catherine was supportive, but I could see the relief in her eyes. She loved Mia, but becoming a parent to a baby at her age wasn't something she wanted. She'd done her time with diapers and midnight feedings. She was ready to be the aunt, the support, not the primary caregiver. We started looking at families. The agency Robin recommended had profiles. Couples who were waiting, hoping. Mia went through them slowly, reading every detail, looking at every photo. She was pickier than I expected. This couple was too old. That one lived too far away. These ones seemed fake happy. Those ones had too many cats. I watched her process and realized she was looking for her parents, for Hannah and Greg, for that perfect family that no longer existed. I gently suggested maybe perfect wasn't the goal. Maybe good enough was okay. Maybe loving was what mattered. She threw a profile at me and said I sounded like a fortune cookie, but she kept looking. Then Austin showed up, not at school, at Mia's house. On a Saturday when Catherine was at work, Mia texted me panicked. I drove over and found him on the porch. He looked terrible, thin, tired, like he hadn't been sleeping. He said he needed to talk to Mia, that his parents were making him crazy, that he didn't know what to do. I wanted to tell him to leave, that he'd had his chance, but Mia opened the door and let him in. They sat in the living room while I made myself busy in the kitchen, close enough to hear but trying to give them space. He apologized, said he'd been scared, that his parents had been filling his head with stuff about ruined futures and trapped lives, but he couldn't stop thinking about her, about the baby, about what kind of person he was being. Mia told him about the adoption plan. He got quiet, asked if that's what she wanted or what everyone else wanted. She said she didn't know anymore, that every choice felt like losing something. He said he had money saved, from working summers, that his grandfather left him some too, that maybe they could figure it out, together. I wanted to interrupt, to remind them both how young they were, how hard it would be. But I remembered being 19, thinking love could solve everything, thinking money was the only obstacle. So I stayed quiet and let them talk, let them dream a little. Reality would come soon enough. Austin left after an hour, said he needed to think, to talk to his parents, to figure out if he could do this, really do it, not just say the words. Mia looked shell-shocked after he left. I sat with her and didn't say anything, just rubbed her back while she processed. That night she asked me what I would do if Mia's birth father had come back, said he wanted to try. I thought about it for a long time, then told her honestly I didn't know, that it would have changed everything, maybe for better, maybe for worse, but that dwelling on what-ifs was a good way to make yourself crazy. She said she felt pulled in different directions. Everyone wanted something different from her. Austin wanted to play family. Catherine wanted her to finish school without a baby. The counselor wanted her to make her own choice. And she thought maybe I wanted her to keep it, to do what I couldn't. I told her that wasn't true, that I wanted her to be okay, whatever that looked like, that my story wasn't hers, my choices weren't hers. She had to write her own ending. She rolled her eyes and said I really did sound like a motivational poster, but she smiled when she said it. Austin came back 2 days later, with his parents. Samuel and Rachel, they looked like older versions of Austin. Same nervous energy, same way of not quite meeting your eyes. They sat stiffly in Catherine's living room while Mia and I sat across from them. Catherine stood by the door like a bouncer. Rachel did most of the talking, said they'd been wrong, that they'd reacted out of fear, that if Austin wanted to be involved, they would support him, help financially, babysit when needed, whatever it took. Samuel nodded along but looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. Austin kept glancing at Mia, looking for signs of what she was thinking. Mia asked what changed their minds. Rachel said Austin hadn't been eating, wasn't sleeping, was walking around like a ghost, that they realized forcing him to abandon his child would hurt him more than having one young. That family was family, even when it came unexpectedly. It sounded rehearsed, like something they'd practiced in the car, but Austin looked hopeful, reached for Mia's hand. She let him take it. Catherine made a sound that might have been disapproval. I stayed quiet. This wasn't my choice to influence. After they left, Mia said she was more confused than ever, that having Austin and his parents involved changed things, made adoption feel like giving up instead of giving a gift, but keeping it still felt impossible, like playing house, like pretending to be adults when they were still kids. I suggested she take a break from deciding, that she still had time, that maybe living with the uncertainty for a while would help clarify things. She said uncertainty was all she'd felt for months, but she agreed to stop pushing herself for an answer. We went back to the routine: appointments, school, dinners. Austin started coming around more, bringing Mia food she craved, driving her to appointments when I couldn't. His parents kept their distance but sent money, checks that Catherine cashed with raised eyebrows but didn't refuse. Mia started preparing for both possibilities, looking at baby stuff online but also reading adoption profiles, making lists of what she'd need if she kept it, but also writing letters to potential parents. She was covering all bases, preparing for any outcome. It was exhausting to watch. I couldn't imagine living it. Then something shifted. I'm not sure exactly when. Maybe it was Austin assembling a crib in the spare room. Maybe it was feeling the baby kick during an ultrasound. Maybe it was Catherine saying she'd help however she could. But Mia started talking more about keeping it, about being a mom, about making it work. I tried to stay neutral, to support without pushing, but I worried, saw all the ways it could go wrong, all the struggles ahead, the sleepless nights, the missed opportunities, the relationship stress. Everything I'd gone through but with less reason for hope. They at least had support, money, options, but they were still so young. Robin said it was normal for decisions to shift, for certainty to come and go, that whatever Mia decided, she'd need support after. That placement or parenting, there would be grief. Joy too, but grief for the path not taken, the life not lived. I knew that feeling well. A month before her due date, Mia made her choice. Told me first. We were sitting in my car after an appointment. She said she was keeping it. Her. The baby was a girl. She'd known for weeks but hadn't told anyone. Said it made it too real. But now she was ready for real. Ready to be a mom. I hugged her and said I'd be there. Whatever she needed. She cried and said she was terrified. That she didn't know how to be a mom. That she barely remembered her own. I told her nobody really knows. We all just figure it out as we go. Love our kids the best we can. Make mistakes. Try again. That's all parenting really is. She asked if I wished I'd kept her. I said sometimes. But that I couldn't regret the life she'd had. The parents who loved her. The opportunities she got. That maybe everything happened how it was supposed to. She said that was a cop-out. I said maybe, but it's how I sleep at night. We told Catherine that evening. She took it well. Said she figured that's where things were headed. That the spare room was basically a nursery already. That Austin had been acting like an expectant father for weeks. That denying it wouldn't change it. Mia hugged her and cried. Catherine held her and said it would be okay. They'd figure it out. Austin was thrilled. Picked Mia up and spun her around until she yelled at him to put her down. His parents were less enthusiastic but trying. Rachel started buying baby clothes. Samuel offered to pay for daycare. They were coming around to being grandparents, even if it wasn't how they'd pictured it. The last month flew by. Baby shower. Finishing the nursery. Choosing a name. Mia wanted something strong. Something that stood for survival. They settled on Phoenix. I thought it was a bit much but kept that to myself. Austin loved it. Said it was perfect. Like their daughter would be. I helped where I could. Bought diapers. Assembled furniture. Listened to fears. Shared what I remembered about labor. About those first weeks. Tried to prepare them without scaring them. It was a fine line. They were confident and terrified in equal measure, which seemed about right for new parents. The contractions started on a Tuesday. Mia called me at 5 a.m. Said it was time. I met them at the hospital. Austin driving. Catherine in the back with Mia. Me following behind. We were a strange little convoy. A makeshift family brought together by circumstance. Labor was long. 15 hours of Mia squeezing hands and cursing Austin's existence. He took it well. Kept telling her she was doing great. That he loved her. That he was sorry for everything. She told him to shut up but held his hand tighter. Catherine and I took turns getting coffee and pretending we weren't worried. When Phoenix finally arrived, she was tiny but loud. Red-faced and angry at the world. The nurse said she was perfect. 7 pounds of attitude. Mia held her and cried. Austin cried. Catherine cried. I stood in the corner and remembered holding Mia the same way. The weight of possibility. The fear of failing. The desperate love that comes from nowhere and everywhere at once. They brought Phoenix home 3 days later, to the house Mia grew up in, the house her parents bought, full of memories and ghosts and new beginnings. I watched them fumble with the car seat, argue about the right way to hold her, panic over every sound. They were doing exactly what new parents do, learning as they went. I visited often those first weeks, brought food, held Phoenix while Mia showered, listened to Austin worry about money, about school, about being good enough. I told him what I'd learned, that good enough was usually enough, that showing up mattered more than being perfect. He nodded but still looked scared, which meant he understood the weight of it. One night Mia called crying. Phoenix wouldn't stop screaming. Nothing worked. Austin was at work. Catherine was out. She was alone and overwhelmed and sure she'd made a mistake. I drove over and took Phoenix. Walked her around the house while Mia sat on the couch looking defeated. After an hour, Phoenix finally settled. Gas probably, or just being a baby. They do that sometimes. Mia asked if it got easier. I said yes and no. Different hard as they get older, but the love gets bigger too. Makes the hard worth it, usually. She laughed and said I was terrible at pep talks, but she looked less defeated, more determined. That was all she needed really. To remember she could do this, even when it felt impossible. As months passed, they found their rhythm. Austin's parents helped more, babysitting so Mia could finish school online, so Austin could work. They weren't perfect grandparents, but they were trying, making up for their rough start. Phoenix had them wrapped around her tiny fingers. Funny how babies do that. Make you forget your principles, your plans. Everything except keeping them happy. Mia grew into motherhood slowly but surely, made mistakes, lost her temper, felt guilty, tried again. All the things mothers do. I watched her become someone new, not the scared teenager who'd called me, not the daughter I'd given up, someone in between, someone finding her own way. One day she asked if I regretted finding her, if it would have been easier not knowing, not being involved. I thought about it, about the complications, the emotions, the weight of watching her struggle. But then I thought about Phoenix, about being there for moments I'd missed with Mia, about second chances. I told her no regrets, not about this. She said she was glad I was there, that having someone who understood helped, even when I said the wrong thing, even when she wanted to do the opposite of what I suggested. Just knowing someone had been where she was, had survived it, that mattered. I hugged her and tried not to cry, failed. We sat there crying and laughing at ourselves. Two mothers who'd found each other in the strangest way. Things stayed stable for a while. Phoenix grew, started smiling, then laughing. Austin worked nights at a warehouse while finishing school online during the day. Mia took care of Phoenix and worked on her diploma between feedings. Catherine helped when she could. I came by twice a week with groceries or just to hold the baby while Mia napped. Then Austin's dad Samuel had a heart attack. Not a big one, but enough to scare everyone. He was in the hospital for a week. Rachel called Mia crying, said she couldn't do this alone, needed Austin home. He was torn between his parents and his daughter, spent days driving back and forth, getting more stressed each time. His grades started slipping. His boss complained about him being distracted. Mia tried to be understanding, but she was exhausted too. Phoenix had started teething. Nobody was sleeping. The house felt like a pressure cooker waiting to explode. One night Austin didn't come home, didn't call. Mia texted me at 3 a.m., panicked. I told her to wait, that he was probably with his dad. But by morning he still hadn't shown up. His phone went straight to voicemail. Rachel hadn't seen him. His work said he never showed up for his shift. We found him at his friend Lawrence's apartment, hammered, passed out on the couch. Lawrence said he'd shown up crying about not being able to handle it, about failing everyone, about being just like his dad. I wanted to shake him. Mia just looked tired. We got him in the car and drove home in silence. The next few days were rough. Austin apologized, said he'd had a panic attack, that everything felt too heavy, too much. Mia listened, but I could see her pulling back, building walls. She'd been here before with guys who couldn't handle pressure, who ran when things got hard. I tried talking to Austin, found him sitting on the porch one evening while Mia put Phoenix to bed. He looked older than 18, worn down. He said he didn't know how people did this. Work and school and babies and sick parents. Said he felt like he was drowning. I told him everyone felt that way sometimes, that the drowning feeling was part of it. But you keep swimming anyway, because what else is there? He asked if it was worth it, all the struggle. I said that wasn't for me to answer, only he could decide that. But Phoenix deserved to have him try. Things improved for a bit. Samuel got out of the hospital. Austin cut back his hours at work, focused on finishing school. But money got tighter. Diapers and formula add up fast. Catherine helped, but she had her own bills. The checks from Austin's parents stopped coming. They had medical bills now. Mia started talking about getting a job, but daycare would cost more than she'd make. It was a trap a lot of young parents fell into. Can't afford to work, can't afford not to. She applied for assistance, but the wait list was long. The system moved slow. Bills piled up faster. Then Catherine's company announced layoffs. She survived the first round, but they said more were coming. The stress in the house ratcheted up another notch. Everyone walking on eggshells, afraid to complain, afraid to make things worse. Phoenix picked up on it, cried more, slept less, which made everything harder. I offered to help with money, but Mia was proud, said they'd figure it out, that taking money from me felt wrong, like I was trying to buy my way back into her life. I said that wasn't it, but she wouldn't budge. Catherine took the money though, on the sly, for groceries, she said. I didn't argue. Austin graduated but couldn't find better work. Everyone wanted experience he didn't have, or availability he couldn't offer. He got more frustrated with each rejection. Started snapping at Mia, at Phoenix when she cried. The boy who'd spun Mia around was disappearing, replaced by someone harder, angrier. The breaking point came when Phoenix got sick. Just a cold, but her fever spiked. Mia wanted to take her to the ER. Austin said they couldn't afford it. They fought while Phoenix screamed. Catherine tried to mediate, everyone yelling. I showed up in the middle of it, took Phoenix to the ER myself, paid the bill, didn't ask permission. She was fine. Infant Tylenol and rest. But the fight had broken something. When we got home, Austin was gone. His stuff's still there, but he wasn't. Mia didn't cry, just held Phoenix and stared at nothing. Catherine made tea nobody drank. I sat with them until Austin came back around midnight, smelling like beer and cigarettes. He slept on the couch that night, and the next, and the next. Mia stopped trying to talk to him. They lived like roommates, passing Phoenix back and forth, speaking only when necessary. Catherine and I watched it fall apart, unable to fix it. Some things can't be fixed by other people, only survived. Rachel called one day, said Austin had been staying with them some nights, that they were worried, that maybe he wasn't ready for this, maybe nobody was. She asked if Mia would consider adoption, even now, said they knew people, good people, who would love Phoenix, give her everything. I wanted to hang up on her, but I told Mia about the call. She needed to know what they were thinking. She laughed, not a happy laugh, said of course they wanted that, the easy way out. Pretend none of this happened. Start fresh. She said Phoenix wasn't a mistake to be erased. She was a person, her person, but the seed was planted. Late at night when Phoenix wouldn't sleep, when the bills came due, when Austin didn't come home, again, Mia would look at me and I could see the question. What if? What if she'd chosen differently? What if she still could? I never answered. Couldn't. It wasn't my choice to make. Austin moved out officially after 6 months. Said he needed space. Time to figure things out. He'd still help with Phoenix. Still be her dad. Just not there. Not every day. Mia nodded and helped him pack. No tears. No begging. Just resignation. Like she'd been waiting for it. He kept his promise for a while. Came by twice a week. Took Phoenix for afternoons. brought diapers when he could, but then his visits got shorter, less frequent. He'd cancel last minute, say work called, or his dad needed him, or his car broke down. Always something. Mia stopped expecting him, stopped planning around his promises, started building a life without him, got her diploma, applied for community college, found a work-from-home job doing data entry. Nothing fancy, but it paid. Catherine watched Phoenix during her shifts. I helped when I could. We made it work. Barely, but we made it work. Phoenix turned 1. We had a small party. Just us. Austin said he'd come but didn't. Sent a gift card instead. Phoenix smashed cake in her face and laughed. Took her first real steps. Said mama clear as day. Mia cried happy tears. The first in months. Things settled into a new normal. Hard but manageable. Mia got stronger. More confident. Stopped looking at her phone waiting for Austin to text. Stopped jumping when someone knocked. Started making plans that didn't include him. College classes. Maybe nursing. Something stable. Something that paid enough to really live. Then Austin showed up one random Tuesday. With a girl. Kimberly. Blonde. Perky. Pregnant. They stood on the porch like they were selling something. He wanted Mia to meet her. Said she was important to him. That they were together now. That he wanted to do things right this time. Mia held it together until they left. Then threw a plate at the wall. Screamed. Cried. Said every curse word she knew. I held Phoenix in the kitchen and let her rage. Sometimes you need to break things. Feel the sharp edges. Before you can start cleaning up. She didn't see Austin for 2 months after that. He texted asking about Phoenix. She ignored him. He sent money. She cashed it but didn't respond. His parents called Catherine. Asked to see their granddaughter. Mia said no. Not until Austin apologized. Really apologized. Not just words, but Phoenix started asking for data. Not really, just babbling, but it sounded close enough. Mia would freeze every time, look guilty, like she was stealing something from her daughter. I told her Phoenix would be fine either way. Kids adapt. But Mia had grown up without her birth parents. She knew the questions that created, so she texted Austin, said he could see Phoenix, but there would be rules. Consistent visits, no flaking, no bringing girlfriends, no promises he wouldn't keep. He agreed to everything. Showed up that Sunday, alone, nervous. Phoenix didn't recognize him at first, then smiled, reached out. He cried holding her. They found a rhythm. Awkward but functional. Austin took Phoenix every other weekend. Brought her back fed and happy. Didn't talk much to Mia. Just logistics, pickup times, doctor appointments, school events when Phoenix got older, business between people who made a child but not a life. Mia started dating eventually. A guy named George from her biology class. Older, divorced, understood complicated. He was good with Phoenix, patient, didn't try to be her dad, just a friend, then more. Mia was careful, slow, but happy. I could see it in how she smiled again. Austin got married to Kimberly, had another daughter, Quinn, posted happy family photos on social media. Mia never commented, but I knew she looked, compared, wondered. I told her his life wasn't her failure. People take different paths, find happiness in different ways, or don't, but it's not reflection on anyone else. Phoenix grew, smart like her mom, stubborn like both parents. She knew Austin was her dad, saw him regularly, but Mia was her anchor, her safe place, the one who was always there, who never left, who chose her every day, even when it was hard, especially then. Catherine retired early. The layoffs finally caught her, but she seemed relieved. Said she was tired of pretending to care about spreadsheets. Started a garden, volunteered at the library, watched Phoenix after school, became the grandmother she'd never planned to be, but wouldn't trade. I stayed close, part of their odd family, not quite grandmother, not quite friend, something in between. Phoenix called me Mimi, asked why I gave her mom away. I told her the truth, age appropriate, but honest. She said she was glad I did, because then she got to exist. Kids see things simply sometimes. Mia finished nursing school, got a job at the hospital, good pay, benefits, stability, bought a little house 2 blocks from Catherine. Nothing fancy, but theirs. Phoenix got her own room, painted purple, with stars on the ceiling, space to dream. Austin stayed involved, more as Phoenix got older, could do fun things, zoo trips, movies, easy stuff. He was good at being the fun dad, less good at homework help, doctor visits, hard conversations, but he showed up, mostly, which was more than some. One day Mia called, said Phoenix was asking hard questions, about why Austin left, why he lived with Quinn and not her, why families looked different. Mia didn't know what to say, how to explain adult failures to a child, how to be honest without creating wounds. I said tell her the truth, that sometimes people love each other but can't live together, that families come in all shapes, that what matters is who shows up, who stays, who chooses you every day. That Phoenix had that, in abundance. Even if it looked different than pictures in books, Mia did. Phoenix seemed to accept it. Kids are resilient like that. Take things as they come, adapt, survive, thrive even. She had Mia, Catherine, me, George who became a steady presence, Austin in his way, a whole village. Messy, but real. Years passed. Phoenix started middle school. Mia got promoted, charge nurse, then supervisor, bought a bigger house, took vacations, built the life she'd dreamed of. Not how she'd planned, but good, really good. Stable in ways her childhood wasn't. Full of love and laughter and ordinary Tuesday nights. Austin had 2 more kids, stayed married, seemed happy. His parents finally accepted everything, loved all their grandkids. Even if Phoenix came first, before they were ready. Rachel sent birthday cards. Samuel taught her to fish. Time softened the sharp edges, made room for forgiveness, or at least peace. I watched it all, this life that spiraled from that phone call, that DNA test, that desperate search for connection. Mia found me, but I found them too. This family I never expected, this second chance at something I'd missed. Different, but precious, worth every complicated moment. Phoenix is 15 now, same age Mia was when she found me. Scary how time moves. She's talking about becoming a vet, like Mia once wanted. Full circle. She knows her story. All of it. The adoption, the reunion, the pregnancy, the struggle, the survival. She says it makes her stronger, knowing where she came from, what her mom overcame. Mia worries sometimes that Phoenix will repeat patterns, get pregnant young, struggle like she did. But Phoenix is different, has what Mia didn't. Stability, support, options, knowledge. The gift of watching her mother build something from nothing, of knowing it's possible, even when it's hard. Last week, Phoenix asked about meeting my biological parents, her great-grandparents. I said they were gone, had been for years. She asked if I regretted not reconciling. I said some bridges aren't meant to be rebuilt. Some people aren't meant to be family, but you find your people anyway. Build your own bridges. Make your own family, however it looks. She hugged me, said she was glad I was her Mimi, that our weird family was perfect. Messy, but perfect. I hugged her back and thought about 19-year-old me, scared, alone, sure I was ruining everything. If only she could see this. See what came from that breaking, that sometimes things have to fall apart to come together better, stronger, real. But I don't tell Phoenix that. She'll learn her own lessons, make her own mistakes, find her own way, just like her mother, just like me. That's what we do, what women do. We survive, we adapt, we build lives from whatever pieces we're given. And sometimes, if we're lucky, we get to watch our daughters do it better. That's our story. Messy, complicated. Nothing like I imagined when I gave Mia up, or when she found me, or when she called pregnant and scared. But it's ours, built from broken pieces, held together by choice, by showing up, by staying, by choosing each other over and over, even when it's hard, especially then.